Hello, and thank you for watching this episode of the Sports Detective Show on YouTube. My name is James Williams, and today, boy oh boy, if you've not been paying attention to NBA Twitter, NBA circles, maybe just the NBA in general, we have some Kevin Durant drama. So I'll kind of I'm gonna share an article here and kind of a part of an article, and then we'll talk about that a little bit more to kind of add more context to this. Before that, so basically, Kevin Durant and the Phoenix Suns were have not been playing well recently. They had a stretch where they lost 9 out of 12. They were below 500. Kevin Durant had an amazing game Wednesday night, brought them back to 500, and it was kind of like some people were kind of like watching the Christmas Day game where Kevin Durant looked very dejected, just kind of out of it. We've seen Kevin Durant kind of show emotion on the court before, but that's more kind of like getting mad at refs, maybe trash talking other players. But he's not necessarily a person that you kind of like see when the times get tough and his teams might be struggling, that you can like physically see it wearing on him. And you could clearly see the physical frustration if you were checking Twitter at all during that. People were, snatching like videos. He wasn't showing much effort on defense a lot of times, it seemed. And then after that, Woj goes on TV and he basically says, "Hey, I'm hearing reports that Kevin Durant is frustrated with the underwhelming surrounding cast and the injuries that have been kind of Phoenix has been dealing with all year." And Kevin Durant a few days ago decided to clap back at Woj via a fan on Instagram. Now, um, you can kind of like look at this post here. He has since deleted this message because or not message, but this reply, because like people haven't really been able to find it. Like he deleted it pretty shortly after, it seems like. But here's what he said, and again, another context to this. No one really knows what he was responding to. So I don't really have the context for that of like what he said here, but this is basically what he said. He kind of refuted Woj's report. Woj says somebody else feels that I'm frustrated, and it turned into me being mentally checked out. This S crazy. These people can flat out lie on my name and make S up, and you people will believe it when my teammates and coaches speak on how I am as a teammate. You ignore it. LOL. So again, don't not really sure what Kevin Durant was saying there. Now, a few points off of this. One, Kevin Durant. Well, first off, I don't think Woj's report is wrong. I don't think Woj made it up. I don't think Woj used an unreliable source for this. He's one of the most now. Are there times Woj might kind of like say things in a certain way, or kind of like say a story in a certain way where it's like, why are you doing that? Are you doing this to kind of like draw attention to yourself? Um, like I do think there's some cases like that. This particular instance, though, I do not think Woj is making this up. Um, I think this is true, and I definitely think Kevin Durant was frustrated with his teammates. And to the second point on this, Kevin Durant should be frustrated with his teammates. He's 35 years old. He has two guys that are like Devin Booker's, like I think Devin Booker's my age, so he's like 27, he might be 26. So he's got Devin Booker, who's in his mid 20s. He's got Bradley Beal, who just turned 30, and Bradley Beal's only played 6 games, and Devin Booker has missed a third of the season. The Phoenix Suns are below, or excuse me, they're at 500, and there are some nice supporting cast pieces. I think Nurkic has been better than I thought, but there's a lot of matchups where he just seems either slow or just not quick enough to kind of like do things the way that he used to. They organize this roster construction in a way where they don't have a point guard, so they're relying on their 3 stars very heavily to produce offense, not just for themselves but other people. And when two of them, or at least one of them, is basically missed the entire season, Bradley Beal's only played in 6 games. He's missed 24 games, and he's missed 24 games. In the 6 games he's played in, he's only played in 24 minutes per game and averaging 15 points. So even when he played, he hasn't even necessarily been the best. And like Kevin Durant has a right to be frustrated. Now, a few things off of this. One, this big three fit to me has always been kind of a weird fit because, like for example, when the Boston big three, Ray Allen, Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, when they all kind of got together, like Ray Allen was the guy that took like the back seat to everybody, but Ray Allen in a way like was one of the greatest 3-point shooters ever, and he basically offensively turned into this guy that was like this spot up, 3-point like weapon. Like like basically kind of like a Klay Thompson of those Celtics teams in a way. And like Bradley Beal hasn't maybe he could be something like that for this Phoenix Suns team because it's going to be him that takes a step back. But if he's not going to play in games because of his health, then like you're not like you're running out of time to figure this stuff out before the postseason. And the difference here too with those teams, with those Celtics teams, and this here Phoenix Suns team, all these guys are kind of at different points of their careers. Where Kevin Durant's, entering, the last like 3 or 4 years of his career potentially. I don't know how, like he's 35 years old right now. Devin Booker's like in the prime of his career, and then Bradley Beal's kind of at the situation where it's like, all right, tried to make it work in my first location. Now I'm moving to the next location to try and win. So they're all kind of like at different points of their careers. And part of the reason I find this story very fascinating here is because if Kevin Durant is frustrated, if these reports are true and Kevin Durant is frustrated with his supporting cast, now before I make my point off of that, I want to kind of bring up last year's Brooklyn Nets because that was a team that Kevin Durant signed in free agency. He helped run the team. He heavily influenced the franchise's decision on hiring head coaches, trading for James Harden, signing DeAndre Jordan at one point, signing other players at other points, firing Steve Nash eventually. And it's a team last year that like when they actually played, there was a stretch last year, guys, when the Brooklyn Nets were 18-2. A 20-game stretch, they were 18-2, and Kevin Durant looked like the best player in the NBA. He ended up then getting hurt. Then Kyrie requested trade. He goes to the Mavericks. Kevin Durant requested another trade, and then he goes to the Suns, and the rest is history. But if you could kind of go into a time machine, and let's say KD and Kyrie, or even just KD is bought in to that Brooklyn Nets team last year. Look at how the look at how the East turned out last year, where an 8 seed won the East. Giannis got upset in the first round. The Celtics were this like mess. The chemistry seemed off. Jaylen Brown, turned into a shell of himself at times. He had like a cut on his hand that made his like left-handed dribbling even worse than it already is. The Phoenix Suns, Doc Rivers was kind of like, we weren't sure about him. James Harden was kind of like, having diarrhea running down his pants again. And Joel Embiid played lesser than himself in the postseason again. If Kevin Durant just stays on the Brooklyn Nets, yes, you're now again, the key part of this with Kevin Durant is if he's healthy. If he's healthy for 90% of the season after he got traded, gets to play in the playoffs fully. Is it that crazy to say that the Brooklyn Nets could have won the East last year? Is it that crazy? I don't think it's that crazy. So, with that being said, when things were going well in Brooklyn last year, he asked for a trade. When he had a lot of say in the organization last year, he asked for a trade. And the reason I'm brought all of that Brooklyn stuff up is if he did that last year, multiple times, by the way, is it crazy enough where he's going to do it again? Is it crazy enough he'll ask for a trade? I don't think he will. I just want to propose the question because it's getting to the point here with Kevin Durant where he might just be looking at his, basketball mortality and is like, hey, I'm 35 years old. I'm still playing at the top of my game. I'm averaging 30 points this year. Going to make an all-star team. Going to make an all-NBA team. And if I'm on this my supporting cast here in Phoenix is just going to be subpar and my co-stars aren't going to play, we all know that like the way that Phoenix organization is set up right now too, where this is the big kicker with the Bradley Beal thing. It's similar to when the Lakers traded for Russell Westbrook. Because when the Lakers traded for Russell Westbrook, they give up the assets, and Russell Westbrook had such a huge contract. It's like, all right, you put all of your eggs in this Russell Westbrook basket. You can't just move off him. You can't like it's going to be very, very hard to move off him because no one's really going to want him. And that's kind of the same thing here with Bradley Beal. It's a little bit different. I think some teams would want Bradley Beal, but the difference with Bradley Beal here is he has a no trade clause in his contract. So you can't just be like, Like, you can't just in the middle of the night and be like, all right, we're shipping Bradley Beal off to the Warriors and we're getting stuff back. All right, we're shipping him off to the Knicks and we're getting stuff back. No, no, no. Any trade that you could potentially send Bradley Beal in, you're gonna have to, um, get his approval. And I don't know if you can necessarily get his approval. So if Kevin Durant's upset with the supporting cast around him, they're not trading Devin Booker. They'd rather trade Kevin Durant than Devin Booker. So if he's really this upset, the really only way to get out of this situation and to fix it would be to just leave it. Now, I don't think he would ask for a trade. I think he cares. Like, it's weird. Kevin Durant's weird where it's like I actually believe him where he's like, he doesn't care about like his legacy or like what people think about him. But he also has this other weird complex that like when random people on Twitter or Instagram will criticize his legacy or something about him, he's the first person to go on there and, have a burner account or defend himself. So I'm just kind of letting it know right now. I'd love to see him potentially go back to the Oklahoma City Thunder, but that would be kind of like because they kind of have this team. They haven't won a playoff series since he left in 2016. And that'd be kind of just like a nice, thing where it's like he goes, helps these young guys win. Maybe he wins a title in OKC. The only thing about that, though, is it's very like LeBron esque, where LeBron couldn't get it done his first stop in Cleveland, goes to Miami, learns how to win titles, then comes back, wins another one for Cleveland. So it'd be very like LeBronish. And I don't know if KD would want to do that, but very interesting story here. Something to keep an eye on as we enter into trade season in the NBA. Could Kevin Durant potentially ask for a trade? It's something that we're going to be following coming up here. Is he going to get better supporting cast of the Suns? We'll find out. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked what you saw here today, please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button on this video. Really helps support the podcast now. I've been doing this podcast for about 3 years, going on 4 years, and just now starting to put clips like this on YouTube. I've interviewed people all over the country, done over 50 plus interviews with people that are reporters, talking about certain teams, college basketball, NFL, college football, NBA, everything you can think of on that front. So thank you again for watching and, check out the channel. Maybe you'll find another video you like.